Cancer. With 32 million patients worldwide, it's something nearly every family faces. So it's important to know about research advancements like Immuno-Oncology, or IO, which aim to help improve survival and quality of life for patients like my mom, who beat cancer twice, and Mrs. Green. Her daughter moved in when she was diagnosed. Like Ryan, his brother has cancer. Immuno-Oncology research strives to harness the body's own immune system to help fight cancer. Join the movement. Ready, Raise, Rise. Visit ReadyRaiseRise.com to raise and share a flag for a loved one, raise money for patient groups, and learn more about IO research. Hello.
Wow. These people must be fans of your drumming too on Modern Family, because
maybe.
You got a nice greeting there.
Very nice, thank you.
So let's talk about this campaign, because it's hugely important and obviously very personal to you. So talk to me about the genesis of it.
Yeah, well, this is the second year I've teamed up with Bristol Myers Squibb and Ready, Raise, Rise. And basically, for me, when Modern Family happened and my career took a good turn, I knew companies and organizations and charities would ask me to do stuff with them. And cancer in kids were at the top of my list. Cancer, because like everyone else, cancer has affected my life with my mom and my grandpas. And so I knew that I wanted to work in cancer advocacy. And I saw this story on 60 Minutes about Immuno-Oncology, which basically the whole idea of it, you can learn more about it, but it uses your own immune system to fight cancer cells in your body. And they're tested it on dozens of tumors, and it's having good success on many of them. But they did this great piece on 60 Minutes, and my mom called me and asked me if I had seen it, and I said, yeah, and it wasn't but a few months later that I got a call from BMS, and they wanted to know if I wanted to be the face of this. So this is the second year we've done it, and it's important because when inevitably someone's diagnosed with cancer, it sounds horrible, and sometimes
you go into a panic spiral.
Yeah, and sometimes it is. But the message is oftentimes, because of new and exciting treatments like Immuno-Oncology, it doesn't have to be the panic that you think. There's treatments, and there are things that we didn't know 5 years ago that we know now, and there's going to be things in 5 years that we don't know now that we'll know then. So it's a message of hope.
And I know that this is incredibly personal for you because of your mom. How's she doing now?
She's good. She was diagnosed with 2 forms of cancer in 2002, late 2001, 2002, uterine and kidney. And had she not had the uterine cancer, they wouldn't maybe necessarily have found the kidney cancer, because kidney cancer is very quiet, and oftentimes it shows itself in the form of a back pain, and then that's too late. So oddly enough, we're thankful she had that uterine cancer, in a weird way.
And she's doing fine now, but for you as her son, when you first learned about this, what was your thought process? I mean, I assume you get that call and it's like, holy, insert expletive here.
Yeah, I was living in Los Angeles. I had just moved there. And I was at the very beginning stages of my career in Los Angeles, and I didn't know what was going to happen. Of course, my parents have been super supportive of me and my pursuit of my dreams ever since I started this journey. And I knew that they would not want me to come home all of a sudden or something like that. And there was also this feeling that I didn't want to elevate it to, I'm moving home, to be with mom, until we sort of got the information that we needed. And the information from the very beginning was a good prognosis. And then they found that lump on her kidney, and then it was back down, but then that was a good prognosis because they had found that early. No different than anyone else's. The only complication in it for me was that I was far away. I was in Los Angeles and they were in Kansas City. And, just like everybody around that time, if you were around in that time, you know, I had a little bit of an identity crisis as far as like, you know, seeing policemen and firemen and first responders doing these great things on TV after 9/11, and then me sort of taking stock of like what my life really is. I had like a Sears callback on Tuesday, you know, nothing, nothing really important. But it's a long way of saying that, you know, it took a job like Modern Family for me to realize that my job is to make people laugh and to bring enjoyment into people's lives who are maybe struggling or having going through chemotherapy in the hospital. And sort of indirectly, that's how I helped my mom, was being humorous and being the kid that she knew and loved as a kid throughout that process, calling her every day and trying to make her laugh.
What's your relationship like now with her?
I don't speak to her anymore.
Oh. You know what? I was hoping that had changed because I know backstage you said, I know. No. She just didn't make your favorite mac and cheese the right way,
Nope.
did she? Yeah.
No, she's here in New York with me right now. She's in Central Park. She's seeing Central Park. She's only been in New York twice. So a friend of mine took her there, and they're walking around Central Park. But we have a great relationship.
God love her on this miserable day.
Yeah.
To be exploring Central Park.
By God, she's gonna see Central Park.
And I mean, this man right here is a 2-time Emmy winner. He's on, I'm talking about you like you're not here, which I'm sure you appreciate, but you're on a show that is now in its 7th season, which is almost unheard of in network television these days. Do you feel that as you've gotten more and more famous, that you almost have an obligation to speak out about things?
Well, I felt that way from the beginning. I mean, I personally, you know, feel actors' best opportunity, given that we have a format, and now with social media even more, is to raise money and awareness for things that we believe in. I'm not a political person and have I have my personal opinions and joke about things, but, you know, for me, myself, I just kind of tune out when actors talk about politics. It's like, okay, cool.
Vote.
Yeah, I mean, awesome. Yeah. You know, like, and I just, you know, would rather put my energies into raising awareness for things. Like I said, I've been an ambassador to Stand Up to Cancer since 2010, and with BMS and Ready, Raise, Rise, now this is 2 years. And I have a charity in Kansas City with Paul Rudd and Rob Riggle and Jason Sudeikis called Big Slick, and David Koechner. We all happen to be from Kansas City and around the same age. I'm younger than most of those guys, but...
There's no need to brag.
Yeah.
It's really...
but we raised money. We've raised... in the last year, we raised $1 million. The year before that, we raised $1 million for Children's Mercy Hospital there. It's a great hospital, and
That's awesome.
Super proud of that. And my next venture, hopefully, will be something to do with dogs. I just lost my dog for 15 years, and I made him a promise that we would do something to rescue as many dogs as we could for him.
Okay, now you're going to get me all teared up.
Yeah. You're going to get me teared up, too. I mean, he was with me from the very beginning of my career, you know, 2000. I got him in 2000, around the time Mom was diagnosed with cancer. So he was with me through all of it. And he had the ability to make me feel like he understood everything that I was going through. So it made it, you know, I'm not special. And, you know, I grew up around animals. I grew up seeing dogs get hit on the road and cats getting squished by the mailman and cows getting slaughtered. I mean, I grew up around death, a lot of death. But nothing like my buddy Coleman. Yeah.
Are you going to start a foundation in his honor?
Yeah, I think I want to do something, but it's got to be the right thing, and it's got to be the right time, and
got to earn his respect.
Yeah,
obviously.
he, you know, yeah.
And now, on a lighter note, you've always said, I know, I'm like, on a lighter note, you've said that once Modern Family is done, you want to move to New York, to our great city here, to enjoy this lovely spring weather.
Yeah.
And do theater. So is that still in the cards for you?
Yeah, you know, it's something that I think about because it's like, what haven't done. I lived in Chicago the first 2 years of my career, doing improv and studying at the Second City, and then I moved to Los Angeles and did tons of commercials and guest stars and things like that, and then I've been fortunate enough to be on a series, and it's like, well, and I've done, parts in movies and stuff. So it's like, well, what is left? And I think doing a show off Broadway or on Broadway or wherever they'll let me stand and say words would be fun and a cool experience. I joke around and say, I want to move here and grow a beard and wear earbuds and wear a big giant scarf.
Shop at Dean and DeLuca.
Rest my vocal cords.
Yes. Drink, what is it? Tea
Yeah,
with
hot
lemon?
tea.
Hot tea with lemon, yeah.
Say, thank you so much.
And whenever someone approaches you, just throw an Emmy in their face.
Yeah, right.
Obviously.
But I want to, I take it very seriously. 8 shows, I don't know that I could physically at this moment in time, I have a sore foot, do 8 shows a week. So I don't want to come here and just be a guy that's perceived that was on TV, oh, he's going to do a show on Broadway, good luck. I mean, I'm not going to swing and miss at anything. I'm going to take it very seriously. And that's why it would be me coming here and just immersing myself in it and doing it.
Well, I mean, I think given your track record, it's safe to say that I think you do okay. I mean,
thank you.
You were just in confirmation with Kerry Washington, and I wanted to ask you about a movie that I'm very excited about, The Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah.
So tell me about that, please.
One person was like, woo.
Obviously, no one here is a pet lover.
Yeah. The Secret Life of Pets is an animated movie that's coming out July 8th, and it's me and Louis C.K. and Kevin Hart. I play a big dog named Duke, Newfoundland, and what stinks about that and what's exciting, a little bit of honoring my buddy Coleman. I've done so many interviews in support of The Secret Life of Pets where I talk about Coleman, so all these interviews are going to come out around the time the movie comes out, and Coleman's not going to be here to read them himself. He couldn't read, I'm just kidding. He was a dog. But I'm very excited. It's been a really neat process. I've never done an animated movie before. I've played a character on Sophia the First on Disney, but never been so involved in the process. And I'm like, I'm sorry I'm asking so many questions, but this is so interesting to me. It's really, I love getting in the booth and it's when being a little bit crazy in your head, comes in handy, because I just hear the voices of the other person, because you're not in the booth together. I'm not talking to Louis or talking to Kevin, I'm just hearing their voice in my own head, so.
And did you channel Coleman in your interpretation of Duke?
A little bit. Duke's a bigger guy. Coleman was 15 pounds, or 22 pounds. He thought he was a 150-pound dog, and I never wanted him to know he wasn't.
No mirrors allowed in your house.
Yeah, he never saw himself in a mirror. He'd be like, what the hell? I'm only 22 pounds. But a little bit. I mean, there's no doubt that having a dog for 15 years has had an inspiration on me. But it's really fun. It takes place here in New York. I'm super excited about it. I think people are going to love it.
No, I can't wait to see it. And Eric here wants to hear from you guys, so please, let's ask him a bunch of really awesome questions.
Hey, man.
All right. Hello. Thanks so much for being involved in cancer research. I lost someone a couple of months ago who was very important to me, and there's not a day that goes by when I don't think of her. So it means a lot that you're doing that. On a lighter note, I know that you trained with Second City, and some of the greatest comics of our time have come out of there. Can you share some fun experiences that you had while you were in Chicago?
Yeah, good question. It's really setting the bar high, people. Tina Fey was my level 2 teacher when I was in Chicago. Things turned out okay for her. She,
Eric, I actually really almost thought you were going to say Tina Fey was my lover.
Oh.
I literally, when you said, I was like, oh, wow.
Well, I'm not alone. Everyone had a crush on Tina Fey when we were at the Second City.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, she was just as beautiful then as she is now, and so funny and talented. Funny story, when she got Saturday Night Live, she got hired as a writer first, and it got around that she was leaving, so I went to Walgreens and I got a card. Actually, I bought 2 cards, but because my penmanship is really bad, and so I bought 2 in case I messed up the first one. Still do that to this day. And it had penguins on it, and I thought, oh, penguins is good because it's cold in New York. And so I wrote out a like, good luck, I really enjoyed having you as a teacher, and gave it to her and never heard again. Anything. I reminded her of that story. She's like, I kind of remember you giving me that card a little bit. Yeah. It's like, well, I guess my good well wishes worked out. I guess me saying good luck really came in handy. But, when I was there in Chicago, Rachel Dratch was on the main stage, a lady named Jenna Jolovitz, Tina Fey, Scott Allman, Scott Adsit, Kevin Dorff, and Jim Zulovic, who's no longer with us. And I just got to watch that show over and over and over. I was a host that sat people when they came in. But it was just a great experience to be around all those people. And, I decided to move to Los Angeles because I just decided I should start making my mistakes and falling on my face in LA rather than doing it in Chicago, because while the stakes might be higher in LA, the gains were also higher. There was a ceiling in Chicago there still is. You have to get to LA at some point, or New York.
Next question, please.
Hey, Eric, I'm so sorry to hear about your dog. Did he really not look in the mirror? Because I like to pick up my dog and shove him in the mirror to look at himself all the time.
I only saw him really become aware of himself once, honestly. Maybe when I wasn't home, he was vain and would look at himself a lot, just move his hair around. But I saw him become aware of himself in Albuquerque, New Mexico on a road trip. We were in a weird hotel room, and he got up on the bed, and there was a mirror, and I saw him look, and then look again, and then look again, and just really investigate it. And then he got down off the bed and walked, and just kind of checked himself out, and then turned around and got back up on the bed. And in my mind, he was like, okay, now I know what that looks like. I'm good. Okay, he never needed to see it again.
You know what? At least he didn't growl at himself.
Yeah.
Which is,
No, he liked
he was
himself.
of elevated intelligence.
Yeah.
Hi, Eric.
Hey.
It's great to have you here.
Thanks.
So my brother passed away from cancer when he was 11, and we started a foundation in his honor. And it's been really great. We've received a lot of support and donations. But I was wondering, just from your experience and what you're doing, what do you think people can do besides just donating their money? Because that's really awesome, but there's so many other things out there.
Well, people are in hospitals, and people are in, hospice, and there's all kinds of ways to volunteer, in cancer advocacy, whether it's, Cancer Action or your local Catholic Charities or places like that really support cancer people or cancer groups. But, honestly, not learning things and knowing what's there, because inevitably we always find ourselves in a conversation. I do a lot. People come up to me a lot and say, my brother died of cancer, and he watched Modern Family on his iPad during chemotherapy or whatever. And what do you know about melanoma or, whatever? So I think it's our obligation now to know as much about cancer as we can, so we can share information with people, because that's what oncology nurses do. They're not just nurses. They relate information, science. They link people with other people that are going through this process. So I think that's one thing that's easy to do, is just know information, so that when you inevitably find out somebody else is going through it with a family or friend, that you can be a beacon of hope, information, laughter, humor, whatever it is. But that's why research to me is important. Stand Up to Cancer and Ready, Raise, Rise, it's all about research. And that's what I wanted to be a part of, is because there's a ton of things that need a ton of money. But in my estimation, cancer doesn't need it any less than anyone else, and nothing needs it any more than cancer, because we've made so many strides that if we keep generating the money into the research, we're going to have some big, big breakthroughs. Sorry about your brother. Hey.
So earlier you were talking about how appreciative you were that Modern Family gave you this role that allowed you to make other people laugh. So I'm wondering, what else do you look for when you're searching for new roles?
Well, it's an interesting situation I find myself in personally, and I'll tell you a story right after Modern Family happened that relates to your question. I went to meetings with producers after I was on the show and people started to get to know me as the character I was playing. And I walked into some big movie producer's office, and I was dressed exactly the way I had dressed for 5 years before, just a little scruff on my face and jeans and maybe a Western shirt or something like that, And he goes, "Oh, man, the lady doth protest too much." I was like, "What?"
Wow.
Yeah. I said, "Sorry, what?" And he goes, "Oh, well, I guess you're really dressed, butching it up, like to really dispel those, gay rumors or people thinking you're gay." And I was like, I kind of laughed about it, but then afterwards I really thought like, oh, so people's perception of me is different because of the character that I play, and I look no different than I looked for 12 or 15 or whatever many years before Modern Family. The long way of what I'm answering is, I'm cognizant of picking parts that, because I'm proud of the character I play on TV. I could give can I say shit? Yeah. Shit if anybody thinks I'm gay. Like, it makes no difference to me. Like, walking down the street, yeah, no difference. But you can't underestimate how stupid people are. And so that when they see me pop up from CSI years ago, or when they see me pop up on an episode of ER or in a movie that I did, some will inevitably tweet to me, "Boy, Eric Stonestreet can't play Butch at all. Like, oh my God, he needs to stick to who he is." So that's a person thinking like, I'm Cam, like that's my character. Like, they can't connect that I'm an actor playing characters. So I read those things, I hear those things. It doesn't mean it's motivating me and fueling me with my career, but what it tells me is I have to pick characters and pick roles and projects that I connect to, that doesn't seem like I'm trying to like dispel any preconceived notion of me and what I do, yet moves the needle for my career a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Modern Family, fortunately, pays me well, so I don't have to like go do something just to prove to somebody I can play a motorcycle guy, or something like that. So it's just about what's fun. I mean, like wardrobe, like I'd love to wear that wig for 6 weeks. Things like that just like make me feel like I felt when I was a kid thinking I wanted to be a performer, or when I was in, I think as you get in this, are you an actress? Oh, cool. But I think as you get into this business, what you find is you're looking for things that give you the excitement that you felt when you started. Because it always becomes a job, just like everything. Everybody thinks, oh my God, you must have so much fun. And I do. But there are times when I go to Modern Family to work, and it's still a place that I have to be versus a place that maybe I want to be at 6 a.m. in the morning. Bed sounds really good at 6 a.m. in the morning. So I have to remind myself. So you look for things that bring you happiness and joy. And Greg Kinnear, Wendell Pierce, and Confirmation that I just worked with, you look at that and you think like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to be in scenes with those guys? Kerry Washington producing, she's awesome.
And it's an important story. Why wouldn't you want to be part of it?
Yeah, why wouldn't HBO? Great. Hello.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, hey.
Do you get to meet any of the cancer patients or the researchers? And what are some of your favorite sitcoms that you like to watch?
Yep, I meet patients all the time on the street that sometimes don't necessarily relate me to cancer advocacy, but just because they're meeting me from Modern Family. And with the Children's Mercy Hospital charity we do in Kansas City, Big Slick, we go visit the kids in the hospital there. We bring in celebrity friends from Los Angeles and New York, and they come in and we go and visit the kids and the nurses and the parents and stuff like that. I get to work with the doctors through Stand Up to Cancer and through Ready, Raise, Rise. I work with a doctor who is the expert on Immuno-Oncology, who answers all my really tough questions when people ask me, because I'm not a scientist. I do have glasses. That's as close as it gets. And then my favorite sitcoms right now, I love The Grinder. I think it's so funny. Rob Lowe is so ugly. And despite how ugly he is, he still manages to carve a career out for himself.
You know, he was here, and it was so hard looking at him. I was like, oh, yeah, I know.
Can we just all thumbs down Rob Lowe's looks? He is so freaking handsome. Oh my God. And I love Fred Savage. Fred Savage used to direct Modern Family for us, and that was a real treat for him to come. I love The Middle on ABC. I think Patricia Heaton and Neil Flynn are so funny. And the little girl that plays the daughter on there I think she's really talented and good. Last Man on Earth is really funny. My favorite show on TV, though, is not a sitcom. It's called The Americans, so it's on FX.
Oh, and I was about to say, when you say you don't campaign, you actually do your Allison Wright Twitter campaign.
Yeah. Allison Wright, who plays Martha on The Americans, I just tweeted, if she doesn't get an Emmy nomination, just call the whole thing off. It's like, it doesn't make any sense. It's not, because it is weird because we nominate these people like there's best and least best, you know? And it's not, I mean, it's kind of stupid. Well, I'm very honored to have won Emmys, let me be honest. But it stinks because there's so many people that are so deserving of being acknowledged.
And that show is,
And
that
show
has been ignored.
It's been completely ignored, and it pisses me off. And the other thing that pisses me off is that Ed O'Neill has never won an Emmy. He is as admired and loved as he is. I feel like he's really underrated, and he deserves an Emmy before Modern Family is over.
And he is beloved by everyone.
He is beloved. He's a great guy and a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
So the voters better watch out, because he will come after them.
Yeah.
Next question, please.
Hello, I just wanted to know what advice you would give other people whose parents have cancer and they want to support their parents through the diagnosis and treatment. Because I hear a lot of people always say it's just enough that you're there present with them, but is that really enough?
Well, you know, that's a hard question because we don't really know, and we can't ever know what's enough, and there's no way of knowing that. I mean, you know, I tried not to change my relationship with my mom. My mom knew me as a funny kid, a funny young adult, a funny guy pursuing an acting career. So I felt it was my obligation to not change and all of a sudden get real serious. I mean, you already had the seriousness of the disease, so I didn't want to add anything more to it. So I tried to find humor and called her every day and just tried to joke around with her and, you know, keep her spirits up. But just be there as much as you can for them, and you know, typically when something like this happens in a family, it's the other people around them that really kicks in to what makes them wake up every day with a positive attitude and spirit. So you being there and being around, or your friend or whomever you're talking about being there, that's key. But I would say just, you know, maintain that relationship and be a normal for them, because so much around them's changing.
And last question, please.
How's it going, Eric?
Hey.
Hearing you talk about your dog has really made me, inspired me to fulfill my dog dreams. So hopefully I'll get a dog one day.
What's stopping you?
Well, I have like a roommate, an apartment
Fuck
with like
him.
3 roommates. His name is on the lease.
Huh?
His name is on the lease, so I kind of have to follow the rules for a little bit. I've always wanted a bulldog, though. But anyways, I digress. Whenever you're having like a sad day, do you ever have like a guilty pleasure that just automatically picks you up?
You mean since Coleman's passed away, or in my whole life, or?
In your whole life, or since, doesn't matter.
Well, I love drums. I've always played the drums, and you know, I never took the time to get as good at them as I probably should have. I was given a little bit of natural talent, and when I started taking lessons as a kid, I got really turned off from drum lessons because the teacher tried to teach me like theory, and I was in 4th grade. And I'm like, no, but look, I can play this ZZ Top song. Huh? And that wasn't like encouraged. It was sort of not, I'm not blaming him, but I think that had something to do with it. It just turned me off. But I've always had drums in my life. I always have played drums. When I had a house that I could have a drum set, I have it. Don't worry, ladies, it's not in my living room. It's tucked away into another room. But I love banging the skins there. Love doing that. You know, I love going to work. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, we do really have a great time at Modern Family, and when I'm in a bad mood, and there's no better place I'd rather be than at work. I like cooking. I love grilling. I'm a very good barbecue griller guy. Very good. When you gonna get a dog? I want to know more about it. If I come back, do you work here? Okay. So next year, if I do this again,
I will have a dog by next year.
I've
always wanted to name him Atlas. That's like, I don't know, for like the longest time I wanted a dog and name him Atlas or her.
Okay.
Or her, but I have it all planned out.
All
I
right.
just haven't done it yet.
I feel like you're oversharing now.
I'm sorry. All right.
Just get the dog.
No, but I'm gonna get your name.
What?
I'm gonna get your name. Are you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter.
Okay, I'm gonna get your name, and I'm gonna tweet you randomly throughout the year.
All right. I hope so.
Oh no, I'm going to. I don't know about a bulldog, as long as it's a bulldog. Well, all dogs need homes. I mean, the truth is I encourage rescue, but the fact is purebred dogs and breeders also need homes, so it's a really tough balance because that's why I want to do something with dogs. I want to buy a bunch of land and just run a bunch of dogs. You get out there! Huh? Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna check in with you. I would say my first check-in is gonna be in about 4 weeks.
All right.
You should
I'll do my
you should
best.
randomly just send him dog emoji.
Yeah. I'm gonna fuck your world for the next year. I am gonna stay in your life and fuck
Can I say we're friends now?
Huh?
Can I say we're friends now then?
No. No. But I'm serious. Write your Twitter handle down.
All right, and on a more serious note, how do people get involved?
Yeah, they go to readyraiserise.com, and it's very easy. You raise a flag for someone that you know that's been touched by cancer, that's someone that's in the cancer community, whether that's a nurse or a caregiver, a doctor, just somebody that you want to honor. And Bristol-Myers Squibb is going to make a charitable donation to 23 different cancer advocacy groups. It's a super easy way to get involved in cancer research and honor someone that you love.
And if you want to see Eric play the drums, watch Modern Family on Wednesday.
Yeah.